Okay, so welcome to my first ever attempt at recording a video. And I don't know, this is something that I've wanted to do for a while, just record random stuff that I've thought about or like wanted to talk about, not to necessarily reach other people, but more so just to I don't know, get better at speaking and expressing myself and also, you know, just trying to experiment with the new stuff because why not? So this is my first video. I wanted to make a couple videos just talking about the matches in the World Cup and stuff, but I don't know, for whatever reason I never did it, even though I should have. But now the World Cup's over. It's the 24th of July, and I was thinking, what should I talk about? For our first video, I was like, what am I good at yapping about? And I thought that something that I am good at yapping about is football, and specifically Chelsea. So let's talk about the first Xabi Alonso signing after Palestra, but the main marquee signing, it's Morgan Rogers to Chelsea, and it's for 117 million pounds, which is a very big price. You know, when I first saw the tweet from David Ornstein saying that it was 117 million pounds, I was a bit skeptical as well because I wasn't really raving or like eager to sign Morgan Rogers, if you know, because even though he's a good player, I think he's a decent player. I thought that if we're gonna spend upwards of 80 million, 90 million, that's what was being quoted beforehand in before anyone before we signed him. That I thought that was way too much for a player of Morgan Rogers, and I thought that was he wasn't worth that much basically. I thought that if you were gonna sign someone for that amount, like 117 million especially, I thought it had to be someone who was much better than Morgan Rogers and um well it was much more established as well. Even though Morgan Rogers had a couple seasons in the Premier League, I still think he needed to do a lot more at Aston Villa, and he was quite inconsistent last season. So he definitely has a lot to develop on. But the fact is, now that we've signed him, it took me a while to process. But overall, now I think I'm happy with the signing. You know, because if we take everything into account, we take into account that Morgan Rogers he fits our system very well under what Xabi Alonso is. Well, I think we can all be pretty confident on what he's trying to play now with the two tens, in front of the two midfielders. And I think that even though we did pay a great amount for him, 117 million, I still don't think he's worth that much. But in the current market where average players are going for 85 million, 90 million, I think to take the punt on Morgan Rogers, it could be worth it in the end, even though I definitely wouldn't have paid this much. Especially I feel like it makes more sense when you also consider who else is available in that position. You want like in Xabi Alonso's position in Xabi Alonso's system, you want ideally two tens, right? And we've already got Cole Palmer, and we could have asked Enzo Fernandez if he stays to play in the 10 position, but as we've seen in previous games under Potter and Maresca, he's not very suited to that position in my opinion. He's more of an eight, but even then, he's more of a box crashing midfielder, and he's not really a 10, if you will. And I feel like if you need someone to play that position, Morgan Rogers, especially on the left-hand side. He can also play left wing if we need, and especially with Garnacho now leaving and Jamie Gittins as the only other left wing option. I think it does make sense to sign him quite a lot. He's not an in and out left winger, but we don't need that at the moment, because especially if we're playing the system that I think we are with the two tens, And if we do want to play left wing, he can play there, or we can also play Jamie Gittins there as well, which I still think we can see a lot more from, even though we need to, because we paid 60 mil for him. No idea why we did that, but we especially need to see him have a good season this season as well. But back to Morgan Rogers. If you just think about Morgan Rogers' quality on the ball, I think he's very good at ball carrying. You know, he has a good strike on him, and he's good at picking up the ball from deep areas and taking it towards the goal. And I feel like under this system, especially with Caicedo, and if we play Lavia there or Enzo Fernandez if he stays, I think he can have a great impact on the team, and especially next to Cole Palmer as well with the double celebration. Oh, not gonna lie, just seeing that has made me like the signing a lot more. I feel like we can see a great partnership between those two next season. And I don't know, you could call me crazy, but come on, we need a title charge next season. People keep on saying that, oh, because we reset the manager every 2 seasons, Rosinha and Maresca, and oh, we need to reset all the standards. But look, we have had Clear Lake as owners now for what, since 2024, whatever, 2023? And every single season is always, oh, wait for the next season for a title charge. Oh, wait for the next season. Let the managers get his players. Let the manager fit his system. And this season you can say it's all true. Xabi Alonso, new manager. new players he's going to be signing. But come on, we have no Europe next season. One game a week. Surely we could expect something. I'm not saying we need to win the league. Minimum, we need to do a title charge, and that's what we were saying last season as well, for example. And we saw how that last season ended, 10th place. But you know what, Maresca, I'm blaming Maresca for that. You know what, we hate watching Maresca so much this season. Okay, I don't care. I want to see him absolutely fail at Man City. Before that news came out, I was a fan of Maresca and I was digging the owners, but even then, you can't. I'm still hating the owners because how you hiring Liam Rosenior after Maresca, regardless of what Maresca did. But anyways, back to Morgan Rogers. So basically, what I think that if you want my position on this, well, if I leave my own position on this, because I don't think anyone really cares about what I'm trying to say, is that I think Morgan Rogers is a good fit for the system. It's a good signing, but we overpaid. But because of the current day market, I think it's just how the market is. So you can't expect to underpay or pay a normal amount or something you would expect in the current market. So 117 million is a lot of money. I would not pay that, but then again, now we have, and I'm happy with the signing. And as people say, like if Morgan Rogers goes on to perform the season and we end up having a very good season with him and Cole Palmer linking up, both of them scoring at least 10 goals, 10 assists, something like that, 5 assists, no one's going to be talking about the price tag at the end of the season. People are going to forget about it. And so that's basically all he needs to do now is perform. And I think with Xabi Alonso at the at the um at the helm, I think we can potentially have a very good season with those two. And I'm very excited to see what they bring with the two tens in front of João Pedro. But now let's move on to the rest of the team, I guess. If we talk about the striker situation, as we just mentioned João Pedro there. João Pedro is a very good striker, but it's the substitute or the backup strikers that I'm more worried about. Like we're talking about Delap, Nico Jackson. Apparently, Nicholas Jackson is rumored to also be going to Aston Villa, like Garnacho. But I don't know if that's a great move. But then again, when he's not going to be trying to stay if Delap's also there, because that's why he left last season, because he knew that he was going to be third choice if Delap stays, and I don't think Delap's leaving, so it's quite likely, and I'm assuming that Nicholas Jackson is going to leave, even though I would prefer him to Delap. But all that means is that there's more pressure on Delap now to perform, and he needs to have a good season this year, otherwise he's being shipped. Lots of people wanted him to be shipped this season, and I don't know, I'm kind of like between two. I don't know. I'm torn on this one because as much as I wasn't impressed with Delap last season, I still think that he has a lot more to bring. Because the perception around Delap has changed really, really drastically since we first signed him and since towards the end of the season last season. You know, we first signed him, everyone was confident he was good at dribbling, he was good at taking on his man, not taking on his man, but had good hold up play, he could hold up the ball, he was tricky with his feet. But now everyone just sees him as like a a bit of like technically not that good. Even his finishing wasn't that good last season. So he's like more of like a meme player now. But even then, I think that if Delap, you know, gets some form this season, I still think he can be a good player. You know, and with only one game a week this season, I'm not sure how much of Delap we will see. Hopefully no, um, unless João Pedro gets injured, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, that's also another reason why Nicholas Jackson would want to leave because under one game a week. If he's third choice striker, how much is he actually going to play? So it makes sense why he'd want to leave, to be fair, unless the club tells him that your second choice and the lap is being shipped, which I don't think they're going to do. Um, and let's move on to one thing I want to talk about was thank God for Unai Emery, bro, because how he's taken Garnacho off us, off actually someone I don't even know what to say, but it's actually insane. I could not be happier. Unai Emery, I don't know what the hell he's trying to cook over there with Aston Villa. They're losing Morgan Rogers, replacing him with Garnacho of all players. Replacing him with Garnacho. I know they didn't play the same exact position, but still, he's on the same side. I think, well, that's not my problem, basically. It's Aston Villa's problem now. And if they also sign Nicholas Jackson, I'm hearing that the total amount that they pay for those two will be roughly the same as we paid for Morgan Rogers. So if we look at it that way, we've done some pretty good business then. Even though I'm pretty sure there's like some rules that allow against that, but I think we found some loopholes with the conditional buy obligation we've done with Garnacho's contract, which I think I've heard is easily attainable. And but anyways, if we swap those two for Morgan Rogers, I think we've done very well then. Because if we get 60 million, which I'm hearing 55, 60 million for Nicholas Jackson, and then how much we're getting for, I think it's 40 mil for Alejandro Garnacho. It's like what? It's like a 10, 20 million we've paid for Morgan Rogers then. And then if you put it that way, that's a very good business from us. But I don't know. I can't really trust these owners to do too much, especially now after what happened last season and what's been happening for the last couple of seasons. And in terms of other players around the team, in other words, in Chelsea, I think we need a strong season from Cole Palmer this year as well, for this season, because he was okay in moments last year, but in terms of consistency with the injury and just playing sometimes okay, most of the times he's ghosting, we really need a strong campaign from him. And I'm thinking because of the we got 1 game per week we have this season, I really think that we need to try to maximize every single game we can. You know, we've got a great manager, and if we sign another centre back and hopefully if Enzo Fernandez leaves, another midfielder, maybe improving the goalkeeping position. I really think that we have a great team, a great foundation, a great core, with Cole Palmer, Caicedo, Reece James, now Morgan Rogers, João Pedro. Those are world-class players in my opinion on the day. And if they're consistent this season, we generally can have a great campaign. But that's the main thing. That's the main thing we've lacked over the last couple of seasons is consistency. And if we can hold that core together, keep them uninjured and keep them fit, hopefully we can go on to have a good season, challenge in the league, especially that's the main goal, and hopefully pick up what the domestic trophies as well, at least one of them. It's the minimum. If the minimum you asked me at the start of the season, well, the season starts in like what, 6 weeks from the time of recording. I said the minimum for the season is a domestic trophy and a title charge or a title run. You know what I mean? I'm not expecting the title, but at least we'll have go deep into the season, especially with only having 1 game a week and no Europe at all. And Xabi Alonso, I need him to I need him to do wonders, man. Honestly, I'm sick of the mediocrity we've been in the last couple of seasons. Always just challenging for top four, top four, top four. I'm being bored of that now. I need to see us actually fight at the top and actually do something of note this season. It's been too long now of just saying, oh, top four, just asking for the bare minimum. Where are the standards? We need to have a good season next season, and I'm pretty sure Xabi Alonso is the man to take us there. And let's just hope that owners can continue to bring us the next signings we need because we desperately need a centre back. If we don't sign one, maybe even 2 centre backs, we need, and ship off Tosin, Disasi, Badia, get rid of all of them. Those guys are not reliable. They're not good either. Like I don't trust any of them. Badiashile used to be my guy, but he just gets injured every single game. And then Disasi and Tosin, they're just trash. They're just ass players. So like you can't really rely on them. And hopefully we're signing Lacroix. I think it's a good signing. I'm a fan of the player. And I think he fits well into our system as well, especially if you play three at the back. Of Hidi's nice and physical, so I'm a fan of that. And who else do we need to sign? Well, in terms of left back, we only have Hato who can play in the left back position, so Palestra is naturally on the right side anyway, so I'm not sure if we need another left back, but if we can sign someone for a good price, I definitely think we should look towards it. But that's only after, or only if we sign some other positions too, the ones that we mainly need, which are for me centre back and midfielder. You know, because if especially if Enzo Fernandez leaves, and that low key, I'm not too fussed if Enzo Fernandez leaves at this point. Just get a good price for him. It doesn't have to be over 100 mil, somewhere around the 90 to 100 mil. I think he doesn't really want to play for us anymore, and I'm not really the biggest fan of his attitude either. So if he leaves, he's a good player. He's done well for us. He's scored some important goals for us, but I'm not going to be too upset if he leaves now, especially with his attitude and stuff. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of over Enzo Fernandez at this point. And over the last season, he kind of won me over a little bit because I was starting to get sick of him beforehand as well, especially with some of his moments, with his goals and some of his performances. But I just don't think he's that consistent, and he's not that reliable, and is I don't know, he's just not someone I particularly like that much. So if you get rid of him, so be it. Just make sure we sign someone else who can play next to Caicedo in the double pivot because we are not seeing Lavia and Sugo be our only options in the midfield. We sold Santos, so we need to replace him because Lavia is going to play 1 game per season, you know, maybe not. He's going to play 60 minutes per season because he can't even do a full 90. So we can't trust that guy. And as for Asuga, he's the same. He got injured as well last season. And to be fair, I don't even remember seeing him play that much either. So we can't rely on those two. So we definitely need to make another sign. And for goalkeeper, that's also another position we could potentially improve. You know, Robert Sanchez. It's like for me, it's not the main thing we need to improve. Like if we go into the new season having signed a new centre back, a new midfielder, and not replacing the goalkeeper, I wouldn't be that angry. But if we want to be serious next season and actually potentially win the title, you know, not just maybe go for a title charge or I don't even know, maybe we just need to replace him, you know. As for anything else, to be fair, I think that's all today. And I will be making another video soon, hopefully about recapping the World Cup. I know it's a bit late. It's been like a couple of days since it's ended, but still want to make one. And hopefully, I'll be making some other types of videos on this as well. You know, so